Ladies and gentlemen, Blue Jays Nation, stop whatever you are doing right now, because baseball is officially back and the Toronto Blue Jays did not waste a single second letting the rest of the league know they mean absolute business in 2026. We are talking Grapefruit League, game number 1, day 1 of spring training, the very first pitch of what could be an absolutely historic season for this franchise. And Daulton Varsho walked up to the plate and reminded everyone on the planet exactly why this team is the most dangerous squad in the American League. But that is barely even the beginning of this story, because there is so much more to unpack here. Prospects turning heads, a sidearm slinging weirdo doing weirdo things behind the plate, a minor league slugger already launching missiles, and the breaking news that the man in the dugout calling the shots might just be getting locked in for the long haul. It is February 22nd, 2026, and the Blue Jays are alive, they are healthy, they are hungry, and they are officially coming for everybody. Let's get into it. So the Blue Jays opened up their Grapefruit League schedule down in Dunedin, Florida at TD Ballpark on Saturday, taking on the Philadelphia Phillies in what turned out to be a masterclass in what this 2026 roster is capable of when everything clicks. The final score was Blue Jays 3, Phillies 0, a complete shutout in the very first spring game of the year. 9 innings of zeros hung on the board against a Phillies squad that, while not trotting out Bryce Harper and their full lineup, still featured real major league hitters like Edmundo Sosa and Ahmed Rosario, real live professional baseball players who did not get a single run across the plate all day. Blue Jays fans, that is the kind of energy you want to see coming out of spring training. That is a statement. That is a vibe. And this team delivered it on day 1. Let us start on the mound, because the pitching story from this game was genuinely compelling from start to finish. Eric Lauer got the ball as the opening day starter for the spring, and while he was not perfect, he was perfectly fine. He ran into a little bit of trouble in his inning, gave up a single, but worked out of it cleanly without surrendering any damage. In his post-game comments, Lauer sounded like a guy who holds himself to incredibly high standards, expressing some disappointment with how things went, even though from the outside looking in, the results were clean. That is exactly the mentality you want from a veteran pitcher heading into a season where the expectations for this rotation are sky high. Lauer is going to be sharp. He clearly cares deeply about his craft, and he is not going to be satisfied with anything less than his best. Then came the moment everyone in the ballpark probably stopped what they were doing and tilted their heads sideways. Tyler Rogers, the submarine pitcher the Blue Jays added to their bullpen this offseason, took the mound and did what Tyler Rogers does, which is throw the baseball from an angle that simply should not be physically possible for a human being. The man pitches from somewhere between his kneecap and the ground, and the baseball does things that defy logic and basic geometry. Even Alejandro Kirk behind the dish was apparently having a moment trying to corral everything cleanly, which tells you everything you need to know about the sheer weirdness Rogers brings to the table. He gave up a hit but kept the shutout intact, and for Blue Jays fans getting their first real in-game look at this guy, it was quite the experience. Rogers was specifically signed to be a ground ball machine and a home run suppressor, and if you have any concerns about whether that submarine delivery is going to translate, just remember that this man finished last season with one of the lowest home run rates among all qualified relievers in baseball. He is a weapon, a very strange, very unconventional weapon, but a weapon nonetheless. But now, let us talk about the 2 prospects that a lot of people are going to be circling on their radar after this game, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. Adam Mako, a young lefty in the Blue Jays system who has been steadily building his case for a bigger role, stepped out onto that Dunedin mound and looked like a pitcher who belongs at the big league level. 2 innings of work, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk, which was the only base runner he allowed the entire time he was out there. The stuff was clean, the command was respectable, and most importantly, he was going up against actual major league hitters and getting them out. This is the kind of audition that gets people promoted. This is the kind of spring outing that coaches and front office folks write down in their notebooks and bring up in March meetings. Mako is a name you need to start paying attention to right now if you are a serious Blue Jays fan, because this young lefty has the tools, and he used day 1 of spring training to wave them around for everybody to see. And then there is Gage Stanifer. Oh boy, where do we even start with Gage Stanifer? Last season, across roughly 100 innings in the minors, this man rang up somewhere in the neighborhood of 160 strikeouts. You want to do that math real quick? That is a strikeout rate of around 13 punch-outs per 9 innings. That is not a typo. That is not a mistake. That is a borderline absurd level of swing and miss stuff for any pitcher at any level, and it is the kind of number that makes pitching prospect evaluation people absolutely lose their minds in the best possible way. Now, in his spring training debut on Saturday, he did not record a strikeout, which for someone with his profile was genuinely the oddest thing on the stat sheet all day. But here's the thing, spring training is not about results. It is about working on pitches, testing new grips, tinkering with mechanics, building arm strength, and figuring out what you want your repertoire to look like when the lights come on for real. Stanifer is a guy worth getting extremely hyped about, and if you have not already gone down the rabbit hole on his minor league numbers, do yourself a favor and do it immediately. He might be one of the most exciting arms in the entire Toronto system right now. All right. Now, let us talk about the offense, because this is where the game turned from a pretty good spring opener into an absolutely electric afternoon at TD Ballpark. Ernie Clement did exactly what Ernie Clement always seems to do, which is get on base by any means necessary and make the pitcher's life miserable. He singled in his first at-bat, took a walk in his second plate appearance, and looked every bit like a guy whose approach at the plate did not take any kind of off-season vacation. The guy is locked in from day one. He is ready to go. Clement has quietly become one of the most reliable table setters on this roster, and Saturday was a perfect reminder of why. But now, here is where we have to talk about what might have been the single most jaw-dropping offensive moment of the entire afternoon, and it did not even come on the home run. In Daulton Varsho's first at-bat of the 2026 spring training season, he put the barrel on a pitch and sent a single screaming off the bat at 106 miles per hour. Not a home run, a single. 106 miles per hour on a single. The man was just getting warmed up. He was casually mashing baseballs at triple-digit exit velocities like he was swatting flies. Then he stepped back up to the plate in the fifth inning and absolutely destroyed a baseball to deep left center field, which you need to understand is the pull-away direction for a left-handed hitter, meaning he was going the opposite field with absolutely violent authority. The ball left the bat at 97.7 miles per hour, traveled 382 feet, and launched off the bat at a 30-degree angle for a solo home run that had everyone in the building either screaming or standing up just to process what they witnessed. That is not a spring training swing. That is a postseason swing that just happened to show up in February in Dunedin, Florida. Here is the bigger context around why this matters so much. Daulton Varsho only played in 71 games last season due to injuries, and even in those limited appearances, he slashed .238, .284, .548 with 20 home runs and 55 RBIs. Pace that out over a full 162-game schedule, and you are looking at roughly 45 home runs. 45, from a guy who also happens to be arguably the best defensive center fielder in baseball. If Varsho can stay healthy this season, if he can get those 140-plus plate appearances and not have the injury bug bite him again, he has legitimate 30 to 40 home run potential and the capability to completely transform this lineup's ceiling. Saturday was day one, but he looked like a man on a mission, and the Blue Jays are going to need every bit of that energy from him this season. Now, speaking of offensive firepower, let us talk about Sean Keyes for a moment, because this young man deserves his flowers. Keyes launched a 2-run home run in the 6th inning that rounded out the Blue Jays' scoring on the afternoon, and while 2 runs might seem like a modest contribution on paper, the manner in which he hit that ball and the raw power that he possesses make it a genuinely newsworthy moment. Keyes is a minor league first baseman who is absolutely bursting with pop, and scouts and analysts have begun drawing comparisons between his patient approach at the plate and players like Spencer Horowitz and Alden Rosario, which is flattering company for any young hitter working his way through the system. He is a name to watch throughout the spring and into the regular season. When a young player hits a home run against professional pitching in his very first spring training game of the year, you write that down and you keep your eyes on him. Consider this your official heads up. And while we are giving credit around the infield, Kazuma Okamoto, the Blue Jays' big Japanese import who signed this offseason and brings an absolute thunderstorm of power potential in that bat, did not get much done at the plate on Saturday, going hitless in 2 at-bats. However, he flashed exactly what the Blue Jays paid for when he came charging in on a tough play at third base and fired a strong throw to first base to record an out. That kind of range and arm strength from a corner infielder is genuinely valuable, and even on a quiet offensive day, Okamoto reminded everyone that he is far more than just a big bat. He is a complete third baseman, and Blue Jays Nation is going to fall in love with him very quickly once the regular season gets rolling. Now let us shift gears to some breaking news that is circulating around the organization right now and deserves a serious conversation. According to multiple reports out of Sportsnet via the legendary Shi Davidi, John Schneider and the Toronto Blue Jays are actively in discussions about a contract extension for the manager. This is not surprising news, but it is very important news, and here is why. Schneider is entering the final year of his current deal after the Blue Jays exercised his club option for 2026 back in November. He has posted a .303 and 257 record as manager of this team and guided them all the way to Game 7 of the World Series last season before falling just short of the ultimate prize against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The man took this franchise from a 74-win bottom feeder to the defending American League champions in the span of one remarkable season. If that does not earn you a multi-year extension, what does? Schneider himself told Davidi and Hazel May directly that negotiations are ongoing and that there is simply no place he would rather be than with this group. That tells you everything about his commitment to Toronto. With Mark Shapiro recently locked in on a 5-year deal, the expectation is that Ross Atkins is also heading toward an extension of his own, and that the entire leadership structure of this franchise is about to be locked in for the foreseeable future. This is a franchise building something sustainable and long-term, and they are not letting go of the people who built it. There is also some incredible context here coming from a fantastic article by baseball writer Keegan Matheson, who sat down with Blue Jays hitting coach Dave Popkins, the man who completely overhauled this lineup's philosophy and helped turn Toronto's offense from a frustrating, underperforming slog into one of the most dangerous units in the American League. Popkins laid out the 5 most important hitters to the Blue Jays' 2026 success, and the list is fascinating. Kazuma Okamoto came in at number 1, which makes sense when you consider the absolute thunder that man carries in his bat and the fact that the entire Blue Jays lineup construction could shift dramatically depending on how quickly he adapts to North American pitching. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer followed at 2 and 3 respectively, which needs absolutely no explanation to anyone who has watched this team for longer than 5 minutes. Then Popkins named Addison Barger at 4, calling him out as a genuine clutch performer with one of the most explosive swings on the roster, which anyone who watched Barger come up big in important moments last season already knows to be completely true. And the 5th name surprised people a bit. Popkins mentioned Isaiah Kiner Falefa, the infielder who just arrived and has not had much time to make an impression yet, but said the tools are present for him to develop into a meaningful hitter this season. The potential is there, the development is there, and with Popkins guiding the process, the track record suggests we should probably believe him. Blue Jays Nation, Game 2 of the Grapefruit League is today at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and after what we saw on Saturday, the hype train is absolutely rolling. This team went to Game 7 of the World Series last year. They added Kazuma Okamoto and Dylan Cease this offseason. They have a manager who bleeds Blue Jays blue fighting to get his extension done. They have a center fielder who just opened the spring by launching a 382-foot opposite field home run on day 1. They have prospects who are rising fast and ready to contribute. This is not a team that is simply showing up to play games. This is a team that is coming for a championship, and they served notice to everybody watching on the very first day of the very first spring game of the new season. The Grapefruit League defense is already underway. The real season cannot get here fast enough, and if you are not watching every single day as this roster rounds into form, you are going to miss something special. That is going to do it for today's episode of Jay's Latest, but before I let you go, I need you to do me a huge favor right now. If you enjoyed this breakdown, if you got hyped, if you learned something new, if Daulton Varsho launching a 97.7-mile-per-hour missile into left center field on the first day of spring made you pump your fist at your screen, smash that like button right now. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it helps this channel more than you know. And if you are new here, if you just stumbled onto this video and you like what you are hearing, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because we are going to be here every single day this spring and summer, breaking down every game, every rumor, every prospect, and every piece of Blue Jays news that matters. We are Jay's Latest, and we are not going anywhere. Drop a comment down below and tell me what got you the most excited from Game 1. Was it Varsho going nuclear? Was it Adam McCoe looking like a big leaguer? Was it the Sean Keys home run? Was it the Schneider extension news? Let me know, let's talk about it, and as always, until next time, let's go Blue Jays.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.